Hi, thank you. Sorry I'm not there with you, but it's lovely to be appearing virtually. I am in beautiful Utah at the Sundance Resort where I'm developing the next work on from Collisions. But it's great to have the opportunity to talk a little bit about not just how Collisions was created, but perhaps what's happened with it, where it's gone, where it's travelled. As you saw in that little teaser about the work, Nyeri had a story that he'd held almost his entire life, from seeing an atomic test in the South Australian desert when he was a young man 60 years ago, and having a dream that at some point in his life he would be able to share that story with politicians in particular and heads of state. Interestingly, that had always been his dream. And I happen to have developed a very beneficial relationship with the World Economic Forum. So some years ago, the World Economic Forum began to take an interest in the immersive work that I've been doing for some years. I brought a work there called Coral to Tianjin a couple of years ago, where people would lie down in a portable dome and look at essentially a non-narrated experience of the coral reef above you at night. And from placing this work without any, can I say, information contained in it, there was an initial anxiety within the World Economic Forum about whether or not people would find such an experience to be a waste of their time. And a day after we opened that work in Tianjin, people were lining up for 40 minutes beforehand to make sure they didn't miss out on the experience. So a shift occurred, I think, within many of the people that we were working with within the World Economic Forum about the power of art and the possibility for impact. When the artwork touches on issues that many people care about, but that perhaps can be experienced in a poetic way that opens hearts as well as minds. So onward from that, the following year, the World Economic Forum invited me to bring a work I had done about refugees, political refugees, to Davos. And that work had a similar presence and a similar effect in the forum. And subsequently, they asked me would I make a work for the forum itself. So I knew that this work, this virtual reality work, its audience was always going to be, first off, the World Economic Forum audience. And it gave exactly that thing that Nyeri had wanted. It provided the opportunity for him to travel and carry this story and place it in front of world leaders, heads of state and heads of industry. And that's what we did this year. Nyeri left Australia for the first time. And he showed that work, which is an essentially powerful parable about Madhu's sense of stewardship set against crisis thinking that leads to a resolution in the world that future generations have to live with. Nyeri stood in that space and showed that work to presidents and princes and heads of industry. And the impact of Collisions has been a phenomenon. We have not stopped touring it since. It was invited to the UN so it could be part of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organisation meetings, so that those people who were considering ratifying that treaty watched Collisions in the consideration of the ratification of the treaty. The US State Department brought it to their disarmament talks. And when I leave here in a few days' time, I'm going to be in New York at the UN, where we will be showing it again. I'm humbled but grateful that story can play such a role. and that the combination of story with the sort of technologies that Australians love and love to innovate with can then carry powerful story across the world into meeting rooms where decisions that impact all of us are happening. So I'm here at Sundance right now to develop my next virtual reality work, and extremely grateful for this connection from homeland to other homelands where these universal stories resonate. Nyeri would say, we have to think not just about this moment, but about the ones coming after us. That's our responsibility. It's hard to say that in a way that has resonance, but you can certainly feel it inside the world of the work that was created through his storytelling. And I'm just grateful to be part of it and grateful to be able to share that with you today. So thanks for taking some time to listen to me from over here, and hopefully some of you will get to see Collisions, because I know it's there in the Opera House for you to view.